Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. I want to talk about today about this whole idea of commitment, because we've been talking about this all this week, and there is something about commitment. We've heard of people who are commitment phobes. We've heard of people who jump all in and get all the way in and just take it right to the finish line and do a really good job. And then there's those of us in the middle who are just like in and out and trying to get this thing drilled down. Like, how do I stay committed? How do I stay the course? How do I become the woman that I'm meant to be? But I believe that to keep your commitments requires change. And I think that's kind of one of our hiccups. And that's one of the places where, wow, I just look at everything and just say, what the heck is that all about? I look at that because, it's hard to assess sometimes what commitment means and how we adjust it to fit every single situation. That's why we're going to dig into this on what committed is and what true commitment is about and how that translates into taking this into your life to that next level. So if you're becoming committed to being healthy, this is going to be a logical sequence, right? If you're committed to being healthy, that means you might have to stop doing some behaviors and start adding some behaviors in. That means maybe your car does not swing into the drive-through lane on the way home because you're hungry. Maybe instead you just say, you know what? 10 minutes from home, I can handle this. When I get home, I'm going to have something in my refrigerator, some hot melt soup, a little cup of bone broth, and stay mindful because my commitment is to eating healthy food. If you're committed to becoming stronger, you know what that means? That means you're going to have to show up consistently in the gym and not just lace up your shoes, but actually do something other than lacing up your shoes. But I'll tell you what, if you lace up your shoes, there's kind of a trigger there that says, okay, now might as well do it now that I got my shoes on. And for me, I have a bike that I have to snap into, click into, and my pedals, it's the weirdest experience. Never had to do this before. But when you put those shoes on, those shoes don't go anywhere else because you slide all over the place. They have these weird little triangles right there on the, what is that? It's not the sole of your foot. I guess it is the front part of what is the front part of the pad of your foot? Is there a name for that? That's not the sole of your foot, is it? Whatever, but that's where it is. And you snap in. And if I get those shoes on, I'm getting on that bike. That's a commitment. It's a commitment to doing the next best thing, right? So that's just basically, it's going to require you do it, the ball of your foot. Thank you, Susan. I don't know why I couldn't figure that one out. But yeah, so you snap in, you click in, you're in, you are fastened in for let's go. And when you're doing that, you're making a commitment to not sitting on your butt all day, but actually doing something and moving more than just the needle, moving your bod. Moving your body, it changes the whole entire chemistry of your body, changes everything. So commitment is built on the back of consistency, and it's also built on the back of action. You can't, you can say you're committed, but if you're not doing something that shows commitment, it's just lip service. Vince Lombardi said this. This is so good, by the way. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence. Now, I want you to notice what he said. In direct proportion to their commitment to excellence. He didn't say being perfect. He said being excellent. I think that's such a huge delineation right there. It separates. It separates out because what does being perfect do? Being perfect doesn't happen the side of glory, number one. Number two, perfect is unattainable. Number three, perfect gets us to the place of paralysis because we haven't quite gotten it there yet. It's garbage. It's garbage. It's a garbage quality because it doesn't work on earth. It's not for earthlings. Are we dialed into that? Listen, human being, you in the earth suit, you, yes, I'm talking to you. You can be excellent, but you cannot be perfect any more than I can or any other person on this planet. But if we make a commitment to excellence, our lives are just going to fall beautifully into place. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, right? That doesn't mean there's going to be, it's going to have no little bumps along the way. It means the bumps along the way are going to be teachers, and we're going to allow for that. Instead of saying, whoa, hold on, throw it all out. I signed up for excellent. I signed up for perfect. Come on. Perfect doesn't happen. Perfect doesn't happen. Commitment requires responsibility to your results, right? To your results. Just full-on acceptance. Just full-on acceptance of your results. No excuses, no blaming. You just take them. You just take them. And the results you're looking for are because the results that you're going to get are because of your commitment or your lack of commitment. I have this in my gym, okay? It says that it's right over where my bike is, and it's right here on the little stand. Hear that noise? That's holding this. That's holding my little laptop here. And you know what it says? It says this: you don't have what you want because you're not committed to it. And this is that's just sharp and brutal. But sometimes we need sharp and brutal to just go, boom, cold water. Here it is. And I need that in front of my face. I need that to remind me that my commitment is going to get me there. My commitment, if I don't have what I want, I'm not committed enough. I need to be committed. Consistent commitment means that the results that I get are the results that I want. That's a big deal. TD Jakes, you know who he is, right? I love that guy. He said, without commitment, nothing happens. Can I get a pinkies up on that? Pinkies up. I want you to see this. If you don't commit, you won't get it. If you don't commit to the excellence that you want in your life, you are not going to get it. You're not. Not at all. Because commitment is required for excellence. Excellence doesn't just bloom in your garden for no reason. Excellence happens because it's on purpose and for purpose, just like you were planted here on this earth for purpose and by purpose, by He who made you, fearfully and wonderfully made, by the way. Keep thinking about these things. Drill it down, because that excellence absolutely comes out in the commitment you've made or you haven't made. Ask anybody who's been married for any period of time who says, I'm happily married. Let me just tell you something. They're going to tell you it's because they worked on it. They're going to tell you it's because they were present every day in their marriages. I can't tell you, I have a few friends of mine who have, when they went to the empty nest time of life, their marriages fell apart because they just kept getting through one day after the other, doing the things for the kids, building their, nest egg, their homes, their whatever, and they became strangers. Marriages don't work that way. You can't put it off. You can't sideline it. And any relationship, you can't put it on the side until it's convenient to work on it, by the way. And I will say this, that convenience and commitment are two very far away things. We talked about that earlier this week. Gandhi said, you must be the change you want to see in the world. And I will say, Leanne says, you must be the change you want to see in your world. This reflects on you. Gandhi was looking at something obviously very differently and very globally, but it boils down to your little world, the little ripple that you are making in the world around you and everyone that you touch. And I want you to hear me right now, that you touch everyone that's within your realm. The loving care that you give your elderly father, Joanne. I love you, Joanne, and I know you do. You know, Joanne is a lover of her father's soul. You know, Flynn is a lover of her son's soul. Allison is a lover of her son's soul. All of you, I can say that you are lovers of the people who are closest to you. You're lovers of their souls, and you're committed to them. And you're committed to their excellence by being committed to your own. Do you hear me? This is me loving you up, by the way. I'm calling you to self-care. I'm calling you to the commitment that you have to yourself. I'm calling you to the purpose that you've been called upon to live. I'm calling you out. And I'm calling you out because there is so much more for you. And this means everything. This means everything because it situates us in a place of purpose. It situates us, it's well with our souls when we understand this excellence. It's well with our souls when we understand that as we love each other up, as much as we can, as much as within us, that we are doing God's work. We're called for such a time as this. And excellence is in that love. And love is in that excellence. So I want to talk about how do we do that? How do we translate this into our lives? Well, the first thing is to understand what true commitment is. And I say this to the caregivers and to the mothers and to the people who are struggling right now, who have the tough stuff, who have the things in their lives that we really love to not have, right? I say that because it's just the truth. But we have to understand that this is your life. This is the season that you're in right now in your life. You know, life, have you noticed life constantly changes, that one day you have children in your house and the next day they're gone? Your daughter goes off and gets married and doesn't have grandchildren, but that's another story. Sorry, Caroline, if you're listening. We have to understand that, you know, no one else is going to decide for us. You've got to make that decision. You know, we have different seasons in our lives. We have different times in our lives. And fear and nervousness might try to pull you down as you're going forward with a true commitment to the things that are in front of you, the hard stuff even. It might try to pull you down, but it doesn't have to have its way. You get to choose. You get to decide. You get to make this commitment. You got to decide, am I going to live my life powerfully or am I going to live my life pitifully? Am I going to make these decisions? Am I going to go forward and just say, whatever, you know, let the, you know, whatever fall where it may. We all live in some kind of a storm sometimes, all of us. No one is immune. But just like our dear friend Edith, victimhood is optional. Your suffering, I will not minimize ever. I will never discard that. But you still can make a commitment to the way that you want your life to go. You still can, amidst the suffering and choosing to say no to the victimhood. Victimhood doesn't have to have a grasp on you. And I don't care who's in your life trying to make you feel like a victim. I don't care what kind of garbage is there. We all have to wade through it sometimes to get to the other side. Life isn't fun sometimes. It's challenging. But even still, there are those you can love up. There are those that you are committed to. And there are those who are just waiting for an encouraging word from you. And as you give that out, that's true commitment, by the way, to yourself and to others. And as you give that out, it is going to come back to you tenfold. That's a promise, because that's how it works. You need to make SMART goals. That's number 2. Ever hear of that one? Anyone ever do Take Back Your Life journal? But SMART goals, it's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Now, realistic doesn't mean you have to shrink back and not be yourself. Realistic means that you don't say, well, here I am, I'm 63, I've decided I'm going to be a prima ballerina with the New York City Ballet. Realistically, if I want to do something with ballet, that just means I need to be dedicated to ballet and do that within the container I have, right? That's how that thing works. I just want to say that to you. And I also want to say to you that can we just make a pinkies up promise that we're done with New Year's resolutions? Anyone ever notice how worthless they are? They're nothing. There's no planning involved. It's just writing a bunch of stuff down, and usually it's pretty useless. I'm going to get organized. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat at home more often. Those are the top 3, by the way. What does that all mean? Is it measurable? Is it specific enough? Is it time-based? Right? It's time for us to step up our game if we are going to live and done and be the vibrant women that we want to be. Things got to change. You can't keep doing it the same way. You got to commit to a newer way, to a way of excellence, and stop the perfect. Perfect doesn't exist here on the planet. There it is. Number 3 is you got to know your why. You know why you need to know your why? You want to know why? You need to know your why. That sounds dumb. But there's a reason why you know your why. When you know your why, that will light you on fire. That's your hot desire. Your why tells the story. Your why is going to get you to the place where you finally connect the dots. You connect heart to heart with the thing you want. It's not just pie in the sky. It's not just, well, I'd like to. It's not just, let me think about it. It's like, this is what I want. This is my hot desire. This is why I want to have it. You emote, you feel it. It's everything. It's on your vision board. It's written out as a goal, and it's smart. It is part of what you talk about. It's the thing that you look for, and you set yourself up in a framework of hot desire because your why is everything. That's commitment right there. That why, big time commitment. Nothing can tear you away from that. And number 4 is you got to plan for it, not like a perfectionist would do, by the way. This is how a perfectionist plans. Well, it needs to be such and such. Oh, shoot, gosh, I didn't get such and such done. I'm not going to sprint this time, so maybe next time because I don't have the XYZ done. I don't have this done. I don't have that done. It's not just right. It's not completely 100% in the row. It's not just the way it needs to be. Let me say this. Those who fail to plan to fail. You've heard that one before. I have no idea who said that. And we do need to plan. We do need to set up. That is our setup, by the way. That's teeing the whole thing up. That's putting the ball right there on the little tee, swinging the ball and getting it out of the park. See what a great golfer I am. But I'm going to tell you right now, that's the component in commitment that helps you to see next steps. This is what I need to do next. This is going to carry my commitment by planning it out. And it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to dot every I and cross every T. You don't even have to know exactly what comes next. You just have to know your why, and you need to plan for it as best you can. And then wait for the next thing. I know, risky, right? But commitment is risky. Commitment is risky. It's saying, okay, I'm hitching my star to that wagon. I'm going to do this. But I'm telling you that a goal without a plan is just a wish. True. I don't want you wishing away your life. I don't want you only ifing it. I want you having it, attaining it, being it. Because that's a life well worth living. That's the road less traveled. That's the road I'm asking you to join me on for 2022. Because honestly, it's everything. We've been pandemicked for 2 years now, pretty much, around. We've been in this place of being in a holding pattern. I want to land that plane. I want to land that plane, get these things accomplished, and become the women that we've been called to be. And it comes with commitment. It's built on the back of commitment. And when we do this, and when we go all in, and when we understand every loving action that we have, every loving thing that we do, that that is only reinforcing the commitment that we have to living these vibrant lives that we've declared that we want to live. Number 5 is assess daily, because whatever is measured is improved. Peter Drucker said that. It's true. It's true. This is why we do that with the sprint, just so you can see how exciting it is, to get on the scale one day and then get off the scale. But I'm going to tell you right now that it's the little things, it's those little tiny habits that build on top of each other that create the change that we're all looking for. It creates the commitment to the change, and it creates the life well worth living. It does. Big results happen when we consistently execute on these little things every single day. Every single day, you can make a choice just to change up one more thing. In my goal, I shared this a while ago, but in my Take Back Your Life journal, one of the things that I wrote as a goal, which kind of came as an aha from my meditation practice and journaling, was the connection that I had with the people in my life that I loved, especially my children and Mark, because these are obviously my most important people, right? And I was thinking about how it's so easy for me to not say something loving, or to reach out and just, give them a little something, to just do that. And I had to work on it. And I made it part of my goal when we first started doing it way back in April, made it part of my goal to build on that and just text a little more often, make a phone call a little bit more often, whatever, as I went on. And wouldn't you know it, out of all of this, things started to solidify, and I felt more involved with their lives and less distant, even though at that time, both of my kids are on the West Coast, I'm here on the East. And it just it was a deliberate act of loving instead of just having it happen. We think that loving should just be, it just happens. It just is. And for some people, they're completely gifted that way. But for me, I had to remind myself to see something special in my children, to see something special and appreciate in Mark, to do something that every day was just a little touch of this kind of a loving thing. And what I've noticed is that it improved. Look what's just happened. My daughter has moved closer. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but why not? And she's just now an hour away. She was over here yesterday for a good part of the day, and we had a really good time. Mark and I got married, who knew? And I just believe it's just these little things that connect and create the big thing that we want. Little things. Assess daily, because that is, you can look and see and just say, I just need to be a little more loving. I need to make sure that this person understands that I appreciate and care about them. I need to make sure that he knows that I am the lover of his soul, And doesn't that just grow your heart? Can you just feel that? I do. Number 6 is to celebrate your wins. Way to go, Leanne. Look at what you just did. I do this with my workouts. It just makes me so happy. We hear our names more than any other name above all. We hear the name, right? That's why every woman in the room will turn when some kid says mom. We all turn. Right? You caught talking to me? Nope, not to you. That mom over there. And we also have to evaluate our defeats and not let them take us down, because that defeat holds a lesson for us. And we put those in the experience file because the lesson is important. And the rest of it, the beating up, the this, the that, the guilt, all the stuff we don't like, that has no purpose or reason for being. And I'm not dismissing, you feel this stuff, but ask yourself, is this serving me? Is it appropriate? Does it even belong here anymore? You know the answer to that. I'll tell you, for me, I know when it's time to get rid of it. And I also know when it's time to look at it and go, there's a lesson there, sister. I need to take that one to the bank. And number 7, this is the last one. Embrace, lean in, hold space for the journey. We all want to hit our goals, right? Don't you? I know I do. I've got goals. I've got things. I'm completely getting ready personally, business-wise, mission-wise for 2022. I am pumped. But guess what? I know deep within my heart that the journey is going to be the most awesome experience that I can experience if only I will let go of this anxiousness of getting there and allow myself to process and to learn and to become. You get to do this. We have the freedom in our lives to do this very thing and to have that experience of that magnificent journey that's ever before us. Follow the yellow brick road. You know, it is going to get you past Oz into the home of where you want to be. Can you imagine? Commitment is an act of becoming when we understand that it's basically an agreement with our higher self. That's what it is. To fearlessly become a journey woman. A journey woman. I like that word. To fearlessly become a journey woman. And that is in and of itself a privilege, an adventure, and a learning experience, all wrapped up into one big box. Big box with a humongous bow on it of your choice. Of your choice. True commitment like this features soul, helps you to live your life vibrantly in full bloom, and creates exactly the life you're looking for, exactly what it is that you want. We have the ability to create this. Can you imagine being the creator of your own life? I don't know about you, but that just lights me up. All righty, that's all we have for you today. Peace be with you. Thanks for being a part of my world. You mean everything. I mean it. See you later. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.